Before we start, a big thank you to everyone who's followed us on Instagram lately. TLDR EU has just passed 10,000 followers, and we want to go much further. So help us share more news with you, including stuff that never makes it to YouTube, by giving us a follow and sharing with your friends. Wednesday was a big day for budget watchers in Europe. Not only did the British Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, set out his budget for the UK, but the Portuguese government was also, at the same time, setting out their budget for 2022, although with completely different reactions. While the British budget seems to have been broadly welcomed by many MPs in the House of Commons, the same can't be said for Portuguese MPs. In fact, Portugal is now facing a political crisis over it, with early elections now highly likely. So let's take a look at what's happened and what's likely to happen now. To properly explain the Portuguese crisis, we first need to set the scene when it comes to the Portuguese Parliament. The Assembly of the Republic consists of 230 seats, of which 108 are in the hands of the Socialists, known as PS. 79 are in the hands of the Social Democrats, known as PSD, 19 in the Left Bloc, BE, 10 in the hands of the Communists, PCP, and the rest divided amongst smaller parties and independents. The thing to note here is that the party of government, PS, doesn't have a majority of seats, meaning that they have to count on the support of other parties in order to pass legislation. Being on the left of the political spectrum, PS tended to count on the support of the Left Bloc and/or Communists, giving the government a working majority. But that all changed on Monday. On Monday, the leader of the Portuguese Communist Party announced in a statement that Portugal does not need any budget. It needs a response to the problems in society today, which are piling up. The ways and conditions to respond exist. With this in mind, the PCP will vote against the budget. And to make things worse, this came in the immediate aftermath of the Left Bloc announcing their opposition to the budget too. And so, with less than 48 hours before budget day, Antonio Costa's government was left without a majority to pass the budget, one of the most important and defining pieces of legislation a government can pass. And while the Portuguese constitution doesn't make failure to pass a budget automatic grounds for the dissolution of parliament, Portugal's president announced, immediately after the PCP's statement, that my position is very simple. Either there'll be a budget or there'll be a dissolution. If there's no budget, I'll advance with the process to dissolve Parliament. While government ministers signalled willingness to make last-minute changes to the budget to get both the PCP and BE on side, in the end, it just wasn't enough. And on Wednesday, the Assembly voted on the budget, with a total of 117 MPs voting against and just 108 voting in favour. In fact, every member of the Assembly voted along party lines, which means that the budget failed for only the second time in Portugal's democratic history. Almost immediately then, the media began talking about a political crisis, which raises the question, why did the budget fail in the first place? And in all honesty, political commentators just aren't too sure. During the Socialists' first term in government, they were formally supported by the Left Bloc and the Communists, in a pact nicknamed the Geringonça. In the 2019 elections, though, the Socialists saw their support rally from 32.3% in 2015 to 36.7% in 2019. All the while, the Left Bloc saw a small decline from 10.2 to 9.7, and the Communists an even steeper one, from 8.3 to 6.9, their worst result on record. The poor showing from the left and far left led them to immediately take a stronger line, something actually reflected in the budget. Described by many as the most left-wing budget in recent Portuguese history, it made provisions for a €703 million investment in health, an uprating of child benefit, and creation of an extreme poverty fund, a reduction in income tax for low earners, as well as an increase in the minimum wage of €30 to €665 a month. So with progressive plans like these, you'd ordinarily expect the government to get left-wing unity. But with tensions still high and hard lines drawn post the 2019 elections, it seems like this old alliance wasn't pulling together once again. While at the time of writing, the Portuguese president hasn't yet formally confirmed that he'll be dissolving parliament, most agree that with this level of disagreement, it's a matter of when, not if. When he eventually does dissolve it, under Portuguese electoral law, a period of 55 days must elapse before the election actually takes place, meaning that Portugal is likely headed for an election in January. In any case though, the failure of the budget could actually play into Costa's hands. Costa has already stated that nobody out there in the country will understand how you could block a budget that brings free creches, financial progress, and stronger public services. This, coupled with the fact that the main opposition leader is facing yet another leadership challenge, puts the socialists on a very strong basis to gain a plurality of votes. What will remain to be seen, though, is whether they can gain enough support to actually govern, with or without the far left backing. Because no single party has managed to get an outright majority of seats since 2005. Analysts also warn of the rise of the far right. While Chega only garnered just 1.3% of the vote back in 2019, their leader managed to get nearly 12% of the vote in this year's presidential election, with his party as a whole polling at 9%, above both the communists and the left bloc. What ends up happening, and if this plays out, well, that's anyone's guess. And you should comment your predictions down below. Also, if you really want to get involved and get more breaking news on this story, then we're over on Twitter and Instagram as @TLDREU. Over there you'll find all of our updates, breaking news, and explainers, which never make it to YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.